I'm 36, and I'm a woman living alone in a small upstate New York town. So when someone started pounding on my front door at 1:34 a.m., my brain didn't go to help. It went to one thought. What happens if I open this door and I'm wrong? Bam, bam, bam. Not a normal knock. Not wrong apartment. This was hard, flat-handed pounding, like someone trying to shake the door loose in its frame. I sat straight up in bed. The apartment was pitch black, except for that faint orange glow leaking through the blinds from the parking lot light outside. Then it hit again. Bam, bam, bam. A man's voice, older, loud, urgent, carried down the hallway. Ma'am, please, I need help. Open up. I didn't turn on a light. I didn't call out. I slid out of bed and moved down the hallway barefoot, slow, careful, keeping my breathing quiet. Please, he shouted again. I'm hurt. I just need to use a phone. Let me in. I leaned into the peephole. An older man stood inches from my door. 60s, gray hair, heavy jacket zipped to his chin, wide eyes, tight mouth. But what hit me wasn't what he looked like. It was how he knocked. Not scared, not shaky. He knocked like a man who'd been told I'd open. He slapped the wood again, hard, and his voice sharpened. Come on, I know you're in there. I stayed silent, because as a woman alone, you learn fast that the wrong response can turn a bad moment into the last one. Then he said something that drained the warmth out of my body. She said you'd help me. A pause, like he was listening for me to move. She said you'd open up. I backed away from the door so fast I nearly tripped, because I knew exactly who she was supposed to be. And the worst part is, 2 hours earlier, I'd actually trusted her. I work nights at a small grocery store. Not a big chain, just a local place where regulars recognize you. And you can't stock a shelf without someone asking where the sugar is. That week, my life was basically work and panic. My Nissan Altima had died on me. Transmission failure. The mechanic didn't soften it. He just gave me the number, and my stomach dropped. So I was taking overtime shifts and walking, 2 miles each way. Upstate New York at night is the kind of cold that doesn't feel dramatic. It just slowly steals your energy until you start making dumb decisions. That night, we closed at 10, but I stayed late doing end-of-day stuff. Tills, cigarettes, quick clean, lockup. The building felt hollow once the last customer was gone. When I finally turned off the last overhead light and locked the front doors, it was close to 11 p.m. I stepped out into the parking lot and stopped. One car was still there, halfway down under a light that flickered bright, dim, bright again, like it couldn't decide. And the car's headlights were on. Not reverse lights, not someone pulling out. Headlights pointed straight at the storefront, like whoever was inside wanted to watch the doors. There was a silhouette in the driver's seat, but the glare made details impossible. I told myself, maybe they're waiting for someone. Then I told myself, stop being dramatic. So I tightened my grip on my bag and started walking. The road I take home is fine in daylight. At night, it turns into a different place. 2 lanes, narrow shoulder. Trees on one side, open field on the other. Streetlights in little clusters, then nothing for long stretches. About a mile in, my legs felt heavy, and my shoulders ached from the bag. I checked my phone. 11:14 p.m. I still had another mile. I remember standing there, staring down the road, thinking, I can do 1 more mile. And then thinking, I'm so tired. So I did the thing I promised myself I'd never do. I stuck my thumb out. At first, I felt ridiculous. Then 2 cars passed without slowing, and I realized how empty that road really was at that hour. No sidewalks, no businesses, no people. Just darkness and the whisper of tires. I almost dropped my arm and kept walking, until headlights appeared behind me again, slowing. A car eased onto the shoulder ahead, smooth and controlled. The driver's window slid down. A young woman leaned toward me from the driver's seat. Early 20s, dark hair tucked under a beanie, big hoodie, calm face. "Hey," she said. "You okay? Where are you headed?" I hesitated. My instincts didn't feel calm, but my exhaustion was louder. And she was a woman too, which made my guard drop in that automatic way I hate admitting. "Just up the road," I said. "My car's in the shop." "No problem," she replied. "Hop in. It's freezing." I stepped closer, reached for the passenger handle, and my stomach tightened. Same dull paint, same stance, same small crack in the passenger side headlight cover. It was the same car from the grocery store lot. I froze with my hand on the door. She glanced at me. "You good?" "Yeah," I lied. "Long shift." And the only reason I got in at all was because she was another woman. The interior was warm, almost too warm. Vanilla air freshener mixed with something sharp underneath, like cleaner sprayed too recently. She pulled back onto the road. "So where do you work?" she asked. "The grocery store," I said. "The one down there?" she asked, like she already knew. My throat tightened. "Yeah." She nodded, eyes forward. Then, a beat later, "What time do you usually get off?" "It depends," I said. "Tonight was late." Her phone lit up in the center console. She tapped it quickly and angled the screen away from me. "Boyfriend?" I asked, forcing small talk because silence felt worse. She smiled a little. "Something like that." We drove a few seconds in quiet. Then she asked, casually, like she was asking what kind of coffee I drink. "Do you live alone?" My skin prickled. I lied without thinking. "No, roommate." Her fingers tightened on the wheel, just for a second, like she'd adjusted to new information. Her phone lit up again. This time, I caught one word before she flipped it face down. "Now?" My heart started thumping hard enough that my hands tingled. A minute later, I saw my street coming up and pointed. "Right here." She slowed and drove straight past it. My turn was back there," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Oh," she replied, too quick. "I thought you meant further." "I didn't," I said. "This is it. Please turn around." She didn't argue. She didn't apologize. She drove another 30 seconds, then turned down a side road. No houses, no porch lights, just trees closing in around the headlights. The air felt thinner. "Where are we going?" I asked. "Shortcut," she said. "I don't want a shortcut," I said. "I just want to go home." She glanced at me, blank, quick, then sighed like I was inconveniencing her. "Okay," she said. "Relax." She turned into a gravel pull-off and made a slow, deliberate 3-point turn. And the whole time, her hand stayed steady. Too steady. We headed back toward the main road. But the part that stuck with me wasn't the wrong turn. It was her reaction when I didn't go along with it. Not confused, not embarrassed, just irritated. Like I'd stepped off a track she expected me to stay on. When we got back to my street, I made another decision. I pointed 2 buildings past mine. "That one," I said. She pulled up and stopped. "Here you go," she said brightly, like nothing weird had happened. I stepped out and forced myself to walk normally. Not run, not rush. I didn't look back until I was nearly behind a parked car. Her car was still there, idling, headlights on, watching the building I'd pointed at. Then, slowly, she drove away. I didn't go straight into my apartment. I looped around through the back lot and used the side entrance that sticks sometimes. Once inside, I locked the deadbolt, latched the chain. I stood there, listening. Nothing. I told myself she was just weird, directionally confused, over-friendly. I told myself anything that would let my body calm down. Eventually, exhaustion won. I fell asleep. And then I woke up to the pounding. 1:34 a.m. From behind my kitchen counter, phone in my hand, I listened to the older man outside my door. "Ma'am, please, I'm hurt. I just need to use your phone." His voice didn't shake. His breathing wasn't panicked. He sounded practiced, like he'd said these exact lines before. I dialed 911 with fingers that wouldn't stop trembling. The dispatcher answered, and I whispered my address like the hallway itself could hear me. "There's a man at my door," I said. "He's trying to get in." "Is your door locked?" she asked. "Yes, deadbolt and chain." "Do you see a weapon?" "No, I don't know." The doorknob rattled hard. I clamped a hand over my mouth. Then the man shouted again, sharper. "Come on, open it!" And then his voice dropped. No performance now, no begging. "Don't do this," he muttered. A pause. Then he said something that made my stomach flip over. He said my first name, softly, like he was testing it, not yelling it, not guessing, just saying it like he already knew. The dispatcher asked, "Ma'am, are you still there?" "I'm here," I whispered. Outside, the knob rattled again, harder, then silence. Not relief silence, listening silence. I held my breath and stared at the door like it might breathe back. And then I heard him speak again, not to me, to someone beside him, low. "She's not opening." A pause. "No, I'm at the word one." My whole body went cold, because that meant he wasn't confused. He wasn't knocking on random doors. He was sure. The dispatcher said officers were on the way and told me not to make noise. Then I heard another door open down the hall. A man's voice called out, "Hey, what the hell are you doing?" And the older man's footsteps changed instantly. Fast, heavy, retreating, like he'd been caught mid-act and didn't want witnesses. The police arrived within minutes. 2 officers stood in the hallway, flashlights washing over my door like it was evidence. I cracked it open and gave them everything. What he said, what he looked like, the knob rattling, the moment he said my name. One officer asked, "How would he know your name?" And my brain went straight to my name tag, because I realized I'd never taken it off. It was still clipped to my hoodie when I walked out of the store. The officer asked the next question like he already knew the answer. "Anything happened earlier tonight that might be connected?" So I told them about the young woman, the car in the lot, the shortcut, the question about whether I lived alone, the word "now" on her phone. They didn't laugh. They didn't dismiss it. They exchanged a look that wasn't disbelief. It was recognition. They checked outside, walked the lot, scanned the street. Nothing. No older man, no car. It felt like he'd been swallowed by the dark. Before they left, one officer said, "Don't answer your door tonight. If he comes back, call immediately." I nodded, but after they walked away, what I felt wasn't relief. It was sickness, because it confirmed what I already knew. That man didn't choose my door at random. Someone aimed him at it. The next morning, I went to work early and told my manager. He looked annoyed at first, until I mentioned the police. Then he took me into the tiny office and pulled up the security cameras. I told him the time I locked up. He rewound, and there it was. At 10:52 p.m., a car rolled into the lot and parked halfway down under the flickering light. Headlights on, just sitting there. At 10:59 p.m., my silhouette appeared behind the glass doors as I locked them. The car didn't move. It waited. And the moment I walked out of frame toward the road, it pulled out. Not speeding, not dramatic, just leaving at the exact moment I did. My manager zoomed in, trying to catch the plate. The video wasn't sharp enough, but it didn't matter. I could see the shape. and I could see the crack in the passenger side headlight cover. "That's it," I whispered. "That's the car." My manager exhaled slowly. Jesus. And the whole time I watched that footage, I kept thinking about my name tag. For the next week, I didn't walk home. I begged rides, paid for rides, timed my closing so I never left alone. At night, I checked my peephole like a ritual. I kept my phone charged. I slept in thin, broken pieces. Then, about a week later, a coworker offered me a ride home. We pulled out of the lot together. As we turned onto the main road, I glanced back out of habit, and my stomach dropped. A car sat in the same place, halfway down the lot, under that flickering light, headlights on, watching the front doors. I didn't see who was inside, but I didn't need to, because I finally understood something I'd been trying not to say out loud. That night on the road, I wasn't rescued. I was picked, and someone, somewhere, still believed they'd get another chance.